We're completely blown away by how swift things are moving. Duterte is currently in a detention facility at The Hague, but this morning the ICC announced that his first appearance would be at midnight Australia time, so in a few hours. There, he will be informed of the crimes he is alleged to have committed, his rights under the statute, and the date for a hearing to confirm or to decline to confirm the charges. In that confirmation hearing, the judges will then decide whether the prosecution has presented sufficient amount of evidence to proceed to trial. If the charges are confirmed, the trial would start in a few months, but it could take years before a final judgment. Duterte can also file for interim release if he can convince the ICC court that he is not at risk of escaping, or that he will not be obstructing justice by intimidating or threatening suspects. All of this, though, is expected to take quite a bit of time, and so he is expected to be at the Hague and in detention for an extended period of time.
How did it get to this point? Are you surprised by what's happened and how quickly, on the surface, it all appears to have transpired?
Yes, it's surprising for several reasons. First, because of how swiftly everything unfolded. We heard there was an arrest warrant coming early this week. As soon as it was out on Tuesday, he was arrested dramatically at the Manila airport, and that very same evening was then flown to The Hague, where he is now detained. So the series of events from this week is what has been most surprising for us who have been following this story. Second, there's so much impunity in the Philippines that I think many Filipinos didn't truly believe that they would ever see Duterte be held accountable. We spoke to the lawyer who filed a case in the ICC on behalf of the families of drug war victims back in 2018. And he told me they had no other recourse but to go to the ICC, precisely because courts in the Philippines wouldn't try Duterte. They wouldn't be able to get a fair trial, and the families would not be able to get the justice that they were hoping for. So even if the families of victims have been praying for this day to come, it was extremely overwhelming for them after having waited for nearly 8 years. And third, the ICC has no real power to make arrests. So we needed to wait and see until the end if President Marcos would ultimately allow the arrest of his predecessor. And that's why Benjamin Netanyahu or Vladimir Putin, who have arrest warrants, are not in ICC custody, because the ICC relies on countries where suspects are to assist them in making arrests. So Duterte's arrest can directly be linked to a feud he has with the Marcoses, because if the president did not authorize the arrest, Duterte, despite the warrant, would still be a free man.
So can you tell us more about what Mr. Duterte has been charged with? The alleged crimes occurred not only when he was president, but also when he was mayor of Davao City.
That's right. So Duterte is being charged with murder as a tool to commit crimes against humanity. Before he became a deeply popular president of the Philippines, he was mayor of Davao City for 22 years. Under his rule, he is alleged to have run the Davao Death Squad, which is a group that killed and brutally murdered drug suspects and users. He then ran on that very platform for president and won by a huge margin. So he is being investigated not just for the killings under his presidency, but also the killings before that when he was mayor of Davao.
So what has been the reaction in the Philippines to this arrest?
Well, it's a very significant development. There are three reasons why this is significant. First, it shows the families who lost victims to the drug war that fighting for their rights and justice, even when it seems impossible, is important in finding accountability. Second, it sends a message that no one is above the law. Duterte was immensely powerful. His arrest signals to current and future human rights violators that no one is above the law and justice will come in the end, no matter how long it takes. Third, this could spell the end to the Duterte dynasty. That's a huge feat because the Philippines is largely run by political dynasties. And of course, there's also significance for the Marcos administration. They have been caught up in this feud, in this fight for power for who would be the next president in 2028. And it is largely believed that the arrest happened because of that feud. Marcos knows that he needed to go for the jugular to put the Dutertes in prison, to impeach the vice president, which is something that will also happen. The vice president of the Philippines is the daughter of Rodrigo Duterte. So that is also something that's very relevant that we continue to watch, because if the Dutertes are out of his way, it is expected that Marcos will then field his own candidate. And all of this is truly just a fight for power. Who will remain in power in the Philippines?
Natashya Gutierrez, good to talk. Thank you.
Thank you.